Hey everybody, it's Blake here, and we are going to do a compliance workshop. So what this is going to be a in-depth explanation of what you should be submitting to the Market Center for your transactions. We're going to go over all of your buying documents, your listing documents, and your vacant land documents. So there are different checklists in each of the opportunities that you can go through to be able to get those. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go through those and I'm going to show you examples of what those forms should look like and where you can obtain those forms. So join me while we look at our compliance inside of Command. I'm going to share my screen. And we'll see that we are in Command right now. And there is the first place we're going to go to work on compliance is opportunities. So when you get to the compliance point, you are going to be submitting different sets of documents. The first thing you're going to do is enter in a contact into your database. And that's going to be done through Command through the Contacts app right here. And I will click on Add Contact or Add Contact and fill out this information. Once I have done that, I will create an opportunity, and this is all done before your transaction closes. So you need to be sure to have, if you have a listing, your compliance paperwork should be in within, I believe, the first 3 business days. If you have a buyer, you're going to want to be submitting your paperwork as soon as that contract has been signed and executed. So I'm going to now click on opportunities. And we're going to go into one of an opportunity that I already have. So I'm going to say, going to my, what was I using? We'll go into Harry Potter. So I'm inside the opportunity. I'm going to go into documents because this is where I'm going to be uploading all of my documents. And starting in the documents tab, you'll see that it says vacant land for the checklist type. I can switch between residential and vacant land. Because this is a listing opportunity, I have the 2 checklists. Each of these is a compliance checklist. So we are on residential. And right now we are in the listed folder. So the listed folder has its own list of compliance checklist items. And that starts off with the exclusive listing agreement. And it will show you the name of it here, that it is required. This is the requirement column. And the status has not been uploaded yet. It'll also show us a type, and this is an agreement. If I want to see an example of what the document should look like, I can click on it. It says it's underlined, so I can click on it to see an example of what the document should be. So we'll see that it says exclusive right of sale listing agreement. This is not the actual contract that this is not the agreement that you will use. This is just an example. The actual agreement you're going to use is going to be found in DocuSign or .loop, depending on which one you're using. So I'm going to say that that is there. And there's this DS, the green DS next to it means DS stands for DocuSign. And this particular agreement will be pulled into the room automatically by DocuSign for you because it's marked this way. So if I click on go to transaction, we'll say start a transaction if you haven't created a room yet, and it's going to have me log in. So it will take me in here, and it's pulled in the forms for me that are marked with the DocuSign. So this is the vacant. This is originally a vacant land, so it's already been pulled in. I wouldn't have switched the checklist to a different type. So it pulled that in for me. See, I have it in residential. It confused it. It only does it once. So it pulled in the vacant land listing agreement, and I can open that up. And because I do not have access to these forms, it just shows up as a PDF for me. If you have an active license and a number with the National Board of Realtor or with NAR, you will be able to access these forms. I can access a, oh, it won't let me access anything. It's not going to allow me to edit anything, and we don't need to edit them. I just need to be able to pull forms in and show you what they are. So the forms have been pulled in. But since I switched this to residential, we're going to go get the exclusive listing agreement from the residential area inside of DocuSign. So I'm going to click the add button, DocuSign forms, and I'm going to go to listing package single family. I could also go to condo, and then if it's vacant land, I would go to vacant land. But we're going to pretend it's a single family home. And I need the exclusive right of sale listing agreement, consent to transition to transaction broker. Now I'm going to choose add selected. Wonderful. So now that is in there. Oh, where is it? No, there it is. If I refresh the page, it will become active. Open it up. It's not going to let me load anything because of my membership currently. But I'm going to add some PDFs to show you guys examples. Yeah. All right. So I've gotten my documents, they're signed, they're inside of my folder. I need to upload them now. If I don't upload them into command, I cannot get them marked as compliant. I cannot mark them as approved. And if I don't have an approved folder, I will not get a DA. So I need to make sure I have the right one. So it says it's from DocuSign. Working folder is Room Docs. So I need that exclusive listing agreement. Refresh this. So I need that exclusive listing agreement. Here it is. And now I have assigned that. Perfect. So I'm going to go through, and each of these required documents I'm going to float up. So let's see what the residential listing form should look like. If I click on the example. Oh, okay. So this is my residential listing data entry form that I will need to upload, fill everything with information in there. So I do have that in my room already. So I'm going to choose it from the drop down. And it is the residential listing form. There it is. Now it has been connected. Seller's property disclosure, what should that look like? All right, it says seller's property disclosure right up top. Okay, so this is just the example. So I know nothing here is going to be marked in here. It says 123 Anywhere Street for the examples. Any city, Florida, 12345. But I do know that I have it in here. Oh, that's the condo. That's the one I'm going to use. And then I need the KWRG or Keller Williams Realty Gold real property information and agreement for sellers of real estate. Once again, well, let's take a look to see what that looks like. Disclosures and information. Great. I'm going to click on the drop down. There it is. Wonderful. So I have these 4 required documents already uploaded for compliance, getting ready to do that. Seller's estimated expenses is that seller's estimated net proceeds. I'm going to change this to seller's estimated net proceeds instead. The copy of the county tax record. So this is going to be found in the MLS under the property that you're looking for. or looking at. There's going to be a set of buttons at the top. I currently don't have an MLS login, so I cannot go in there to show you. There's at the top of every property that you go in, there's little icons that you can click on. And when you click on them, it's going to take you to another place. And one of them is usually the county tax records. And you're going to want to take a copy of those and upload them into this checklist. So that's the copy of the county tax record. Same thing with a copy of the deed from county records. Upload both of those because they are required. The MLS printout. So the MLS printout that they're asking for right now is the active printout. And then once we get into under contract, it'll be a pending printout, and then closed is the closed printout. Let's see here. I'm going to go back into DocuSign and upload some more PDFs. Oh, not these. So I now need to upload the home warranty accepting or waiving. The example that's in here is the 210 home buyer's warranty. It doesn't have to be the 210 home buyer's warranty. It does need to be some form of home buyers or sellers warranty that has an area where they can either accept or waiver. These two need to be selected. One of them needs to be selected. Either they are accepting or waiving this option. And the reason being is that it is written inside of our E&O insurance that if we don't offer this and show proof that we offered it, your transaction will not be covered under E&O. And that's important because if you get sued or someone gets sued in there, they're going to come after you and you're going to not be able to cover the expenses for that litigation and any money damages that may be given to the person who's claiming they were wronged. So it is important that we have this signed and accepted. You don't want to be sitting in there with a $1 million loss because you didn't get this form signed. And this seems to be one of the most ignored forms in compliance. So there could be many transactions out there, some of them may be yours, that are not covered because it wasn't offered. You do have to do this. Everything that's marked required is something you need to do. If you don't do it, your forms will be returned to you and you will not receive a DA. If you can't tell, yes, it is a little bit of an issue that we face and it can get kind of irritating. So I'm going to continue down now. Oh, I need to upload that. So I need to go into, I'm going to refresh because we just uploaded the new document in there. Now, if you're working off of DocuSign forms, you don't have to keep uploading things into DocuSign. It's already been done by accepting or by using the forms. I do because I don't have access to them anymore. We'll see right here, 210 warranty application. Okay. So now we come down to some conditional things that need to be uploaded. Now, if it's conditional, it's going to say conditional. There's going to be a little I here that'll give you information of what makes it that condition. So this condition is required if the home was built before 1978. And what should that look like? If I click on the example, it's going to be the lead-based paint disclosure. This is what it will look like. Down here, it even tells you the date of when the last revision was, 2021 on the month of October, CR6. The MLS waiver is also conditional. If I click on that, what should that look like? Owner's authorization to temporarily exclude listing from the MLS. There's the owner initials, owner signatures, agent name, agent signature, broker offers manager, signature here with the MLS IDs. Once again, this is found inside of your DocuSign. HOA community disclosure, it is conditional. What's the condition? Condition required if applicable. Is it in an HOA? If it is, it requires this disclosure. The MLS waiver required if it's not going to be listed in the MLS. So let's take a look. I'm going to see condo association disclosure rider, and here it is. It says comprehensive rider for the residential contract for sale and purchase. And it is a condominium rider. This is just the example. This is not the one you'll use. I can always select it from here. And upload it through there. Here's an optional. So you can include it if you would like to. It is not required or conditional by any means. And that's the Keller Williams Realty Gold frequently asked questions. What would that look like? I click on the underlined wording and it will show me an example. And I can close that out. Same thing with a referral agreement. It is conditional. What's the condition? Required if referral is to be paid on the transaction. Click on that. What does that look like? Oh, it's like the KWRG referral agreement. Then I would continue uploading by using the drop down for this section of the checklist. Once I've finished all of the required and some of the conditional if it is required, I will click submit to MC. It is very important that you hit submit to MC because if you don't, it's just going to sit there and it's not going to get approved at all. And you're going to get a message from Rhoda saying, hey, you need to submit this folder. And you're going to be like, I did submit it. Everything's uploaded. Then she'll tell you that she can't see it. And then you'll see, oh yeah, I need to hit the button. You'll hit the button and it'll be submitted. After I have done the listed folder, I'm going to go to the under contract folder. So in under contract, it's going to be the same thing. Sales contract is required. I don't have an example of the sales contract in here because there's different types that you could have or use, and you can find those inside of DocuSign. DocuSign, add. I'm going to use, you can use DocuSign forms to pull those up, and that will be a, so it's going to be the signed contract. That's why we don't have an example, because it's the signed contract that the buyer's agent has sent you to be able to use. So let's take, for example, bring this in. It's not going to let me out because I don't have the thing. So I'm going to upload. The only reason I'm uploading these PDFs is because I don't have access. Remember that, please. I think it's just something. So I'm uploading some PDFs. This is the as-is residential contract for purchase and sale. It will be executed when everything in here is filled out and there are initials for the buyers and the sellers. If you do not have this filled out correctly, it will be sent back to you asking you to fill it out correctly again or obtain the initials that are missing or signatures. Please make sure that this is filled out. If you would like to know how to fill that out correctly, please contact Murray Coleman or watch his videos pertaining to the assets contract, and you will be able to get a handle on that. All right. Let me go back into command. So they need sales contract. We're going to pretend that it's all signed and done. Let's select working folder, room docs. There it is, as is residential contract. If there's any contract addendum, you'll add that on there in here as well. This could be any of the addendums. It doesn't have a specific one. And it could also be one of those blank addendums that you need to upload. Receipt for escrow deposit, that's going to come from the buyer's side, and whoever has chosen the escrow company that is going to have it holding the escrow, they will send you a receipt or an email stating that it is in fact in their system, it's in their account. So I don't have an example of that because that would be sent to you. MLS printout, so it's changed to pending at this point. It's no longer active, it is now should say pending. Seller's property disclosure. This is the signed and executed seller's property disclosure. These are required. You note that because it says required. Yes, you do have to have them. Additional addenda, this is the same thing with the addendum up here. This is any additional that you may have. Maybe you have a condo and an HOA association that you need to put in there. Maybe it is a housing for older persons that needs to be uploaded in here that can also be assigned in this slot. That's why it is conditional. Update showing time. So if you have this in here, you need to make sure that it is updated. So update instructions. So call center does not set appointments. This request helps keep our agent fees low. Condition, this is a reminder, no documentation necessary. Update instructions. So call center does not set appointments. That's if you were using the call center. So seller's property disclosure says it must be signed and dated by all parties. And then once again, I will, oh, here's wire fraud. Wire fraud is required. I need to upload that. I don't have the wire fraud in here. Let's go upload a wire fraud into the system. I think it's in here. Wire fraud, yep, there it is. So I've uploaded the PDF. I'm gonna go back into command. I'm gonna go refresh this. Wire fraud disclosure. Wire fraud prevention notice. I'm going to rename this as well for wire fraud prevention notice. And once this is completed with all of my required and conditionals and possibly optionals uploaded into here, I'm going to hit submit to MC. Once that has been finished, you can go ahead and put in an offers and commissions. I'm not going to go over how to do that. That has been done many, many times, and you can check our videos on our YouTube channel to see how this is done. We are just focusing on compliance. Once your transaction has closed, you're going to go into the closed folder. And now you have a new set of requirements. So you're going to upload a copy of the closing checks, because it is required, a copy of the settlement statement, it's required, a copy of the warranty deed, required, and the MLS printout changed to sold, also required. So this has been showing the change from pending to sold. If you do not have any of these, it will be sent back to you to upload. They are all required. Let's say though that they're not in DocuSign. They're saved on my computer. So I'm going to go from DocuSign up here in the attached files from, and I'm going to say my computer from manual. Let's see. So now I can now browse and choose where it might come from. So let's just choose, I'm going to do that one. I'm just going to choose a PDF for as an example. You'll notice that these don't have an example of what you could put in here because these are all things that are given to you or sent to you. That's not necessarily going to be something you just choose right from DocuSign. So these could look like anything from any direction or from anywhere. Sorry, not any direction. Settlement statement, we'll browse. I'm going to upload another. So this one. Same thing with the deed. Now, when you're uploading into these file folders, it is only PDFs that are in there. You can't put anything else besides the PDF. So when you go into the MLS to print something up, You're going to print to PDF instead of printing it. All right, once these are uploaded, I'm going to click Submit to MC. Your closed folder should be submitted within 24 hours of closing your actual document or your actual transaction. It's just fun information. All right, so that was residential. I'm going to go through vacant land. If I change the checklist type, it's going to delete all the hard work that I went through. I understand that, so I'm going to confirm. It's going to be very similar in the process to vacant land. The listing agreement for vacant land looks different, but it says vacant land listing agreement at the top. If it's not properly filled out and it's missing the seller's initials, sales associate initials, it will be returned to you to get those done. So if I wanted to add that once again, I can say DocuSign, working folder room docs. It's going to ask me for the listing agreement. I do not have a vacant land listing agreement sitting in here, so let's go upload that. This is not the one I want, but I'm going to need it later. It's in here. Here. Oh yeah, here we go. Listing agreement. Okay. Gonna refresh. All right, so we need the listing agreement from the room docs for vacant land. And we saw what it looked like, so now I'm gonna go look for it. Vacant land listing agreement, there we are. I need a brokerage relationship disclosure. What does that look like? Okay. I know I should be looking for something along those lines. Let's see, brokerage relationship, there we are. The vacant land listing form, what does that look like? I click on the example. Looks very similar to a regular data entry for the MLS. Vacant land disclosure statements. What does this look like? Looks like that. Scroll through. It looks different than a regular not a regular, but a residential property disclosure. It has more room for explanations, a couple more sets of questions and different formatting. So this is for vacant land. Choose that. I'm just going to choose one and have fun with it. Here we go. I'm just going to say that's one. So I have these parts of required documentation in. I need to go to the MLS to go to the county tax record. You could also go directly to the county website and look it up if you'd like to, but it's just easier through the MLS because it's all linked at the top for you. It's those, like the paperclip has additional documents, the little houses for realist. It'll take you directly into the records of what you need. Same thing for the deed. You'll be able to find the deed usually through the same tax record area. And please upload a copy of each of those because those are required. The MLS printout is for the active MLS printout. The seller's estimated expenses. Let's click on that. Oh, what is that supposed to look like? We'll click on it. I'll help you find it after I go through this and we'll show you. Because it's actually called seller estimated net proceeds. I need to rename that. Yeah, so let me I have to go through and change some stuff. Okay, once this is finished, I'm going to go ahead and hit the submit button again. Now, to save the pain of going through all of these folders one by one again, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to pull up the examples of what the forms should look like. By this point, you should be able to know how to upload them for both DocuSign and from your computer manually. So it should just save us a little bit of time. That way we can get to the hands-on portion of actually working on compliance. So I'll go into under contract. Vacant land purchase contract will look like this. It says vacant land at the top. It's it's a little bit different than the residential contract, but you're going to want to make sure you have everything signed, sealed, and delivered. Like here, initials need to be executed by both parties. All the correct information needs to be filled out. Same thing here, initials, information, initials, and then signatures at the bottom. I will also note at the very end, lines 381 and 382 on not only this contract, but multiple contracts, this says effective date. There are other contracts and agreements that'll say this was returned to the party on what date, and was it by hand, email, or whatnot. Be sure to fill that out because that could also lead to a fine if you don't. Escrow deposit, don't have an example for that because it's going to be sent to you. MLS pending status printout, that's going to be after it's been switched to pending. Vacant land disclosure signed and dated by both parties. I did not have an example for that. A referral form. This is the KW referral agreement. And then I'd hit submit to MC when I have my requireds and possibly conditionals uploaded. Closed, it'll be very similar. Checks, copy of that. Settlement statement, copy of that. Warranty deed, a copy of that needs to be uploaded. And then a conditional MLS sold status printout. So that is for listing side. We're going to switch over to a buyer's checklist. So I'm in a new, or I'm in a different opportunity, a buyer's opportunity. I'm going to go to documents here. We're going to still have 3 individual folders, and I can switch in the buyers between different checklists, more than 2. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 checklists inside the buyer's end. Right now it's on vacant land. I'm going to switch it to residential. And in the consultation, it has a buyer's agreement. This is optional. Now, let's say I'm no longer working on this one. I can switch this to a different type of checklist, and it's going to be, or I'm going to just switch this to another version of the checklist. And this is the same for the listing. So let's say for buyers wise, the house that you put an offer in on doesn't go through, but you've done a bunch of paperwork for it. So what are you going to do? You need a blank list to upload for the new property. I'm going to come over here to this drop down, and I'm going to add version. Probably not consultation because you're still working with that problem or that person, not problem, with that couple or person people. I'm going to click on the under contract instead, and I'm going to say add version. It's going to ask me what I want to name it, and I'll say under contract version true, create new version. And it is going to give me an empty list. So I can now upload new paperwork in there, and it will be as if I've never uploaded the previous paperwork. So I do get the question often, like, what do I do do I have to go in and replace all this paperwork? And the answer is no, you create a new version of the list. So consultation, back to consultation. We only have one thing in here, the exclusive buyer's agreement. And it will look like this. It says buyer's agent working relationship. And it acknowledges, it says that you're exclusive buyer's agent. And you can upload it right over here. But there's something already uploaded in here. If you haven't submitted it, you can remove it. But if you have submitted it already, you can replace it. So that's going to have nothing in there. Say nothing. Under contract is where we are concerned the most for compliance. The purchase contract, this one does have an example. It's going to be the as-is residential contract or just residential contract for sale and purchase, depending on which one you choose to work with. This just because it's the as-is doesn't have to be the as-is. Could be the residential standard contract, which will upload it here. Contract addenda doesn't have one. Counteroffer has an example. This is what the counteroffer would look like. Go through buyer signatures, seller signatures, dates. Be sure that all of these are filled in so they are legally binding. Property disclosure. It is required. Want to make sure this is filled out or they mark that they don't know. As long as there's some sort of mark in these boxes, that will be accepted. And then they're going to initial. Both sides will be initialing at the end of each page. And then they will also be signing it. And their names will be printed because you have plugged them into DocuSign already. And those are the initials. Broker's relationship disclosure. We've seen this a couple times now. It's going to be the same one. It's the copy of the 3 that says they are a single agent with permission to transition to a transaction broker. Unless you have a non-brokerage relationship, this is the form you will want to use in there. The state of Florida is a default transaction broker state, but we'd like to have the paperwork to back it up. Once again, the Keller Williams Realty Gold property information. This is for buyers of real estate. Looks very similar to what we've seen before for listing. There's a couple more disclosures in here. Wire fraud. This is the wire fraud prevention notice. Let's see if I keep scrolling down, we'll still notice that these have all been required. And the note next to this required for property disclosure is the signed and dated by all parties note. Conditional offer or conditional for contract addenda and counter offer. Required for purchase contract. Receipt for escrow deposit, required. Optional is buyer's estimated closing costs. If I click on that, this is what it will look like. Buyer's estimated closing costs. This is also found in DocuSign. The home warranty, once again, super important that this is in here. You can either have them accepting or waiving it. This needs to be checked. One of these needs to be checked. And then it needs to be signed. If it's not signed, your transaction is not covered under our E&O insurance. That is bad. Because what happens if you get sued? You have to cover it. It's all up to you. The insurance doesn't. And at the prices that homes right now, I would like the insurance to cover it. So I'm going to make sure that it doesn't have to be 210 warranty. It could be any type of home warranty in here. But it has to show that they have either accepted or declined it. Lead-based paint disclosure, the example. So if it's a buyer's side, usually the listing side will have this filled out already and inside of the additional attachments in the MLS. That way you can download it and add your signatures and initials. But sometimes you do have to do that for them. Only because maybe they're new and they don't realize that's what they need to do. Maybe they have something, I don't know, maybe they do have it someplace, but they've lost it. All different types of things happen. So you may need to do it yourself and send it over to them for the signature. Then we have additional addendum and inspection reports. So we're still seeing the red required for wire fraud, required for receipt for escrow deposit, required for home warranty, conditional for lead paint disclosure, because not all homes were built prior to 1978. And then additional addendum, anything that maybe need to add with it. Then once I have everything uploaded, I will click submit to MC. That'll be the same thing for the closed. This one has just a new item to upload if you want to. It's optional, and that's the final walkthrough. If I click on that, this is what the final walkthrough will look like. And then I would hit submit to MC at close for closed. That was the residential. Vacant land. Consultation doesn't have anything in it. That's okay. You can do the buyer's broker relationship in there if you want to. Under contract, there's not as much paperwork required for land. They have the purchase contract, the brokerage relationship disclosure, which is required. These two are required. Optional addenda, required receipt for ESCO, required pending MLS printout, required wire fraud notice, required buyer's disclosure of additional terms. If you don't have these required, it's going to be returned to you. And then conditional is a referral form if you have a referral agreement, and then the referring agent W-9. Once those are uploaded, you'll hit submit to MC. Same thing for closed. We're going to be looking for checks. Those are required. A copy of the checks, copy of the settlement statement, copy of the warranty deed, and copy of MLS sold status posting. Submit to MC. Whoops. New construction. New construction is the least amount of compliance work because most construction companies include it within their actual sales package. So they're going to have their paperwork that you're going to sign and your client's going to sign, and you're just going to upload a copy of that because it's going to include a lot of what's in the residential paperwork already. So we're going to see on the first in the consultation, it is the buyer's exclusive buyer's agreement, which is that buyer's agent working relationship. And then we have a showing agreement. I don't have a copy of that because most of the companies will have their own type of showing agreement. It may be also included in the initial paperwork that your client's going to sign. So I don't have a copy to be able to show you, but some companies have a separate document that just says you'll receive 3% of the base price of this new construction home. If you have that, you're going to upload it in here. Under contract, there are only 3 required things: the signed sales contract, the brokerage relationship disclosure, which is, I haven't said it before, our agency disclosure. So it's either single agent, transaction broker, or no agent relationship, or no brokerage relationship. And we, by default, again, the state is a transaction broker, but we like to have that in paperwork. You can also be a single agent, but Murray does not prefer that. He prefers transaction broker. Murray Coleman is our broker of record. Conditional commission agreement, that's the same thing as a showing agreement as well. They're usually combined together, is what I mean. The MLS pending printout status, that's if it's in the MLS, so condition, if it's in the MLS. The KWRG real property information agreement for buyers of real estate, click on that. And this is these disclosures that we encourage people to go ahead and take a look at and do their research. Conditional is buyer estimated expenses. That MLS status printout, that's if it's in the MLS, because a lot of new properties don't end up in the MLS. They're sold specifically like through a builder's type of MLS that aren't resale. But a lot of them do show up on the MLS. So I have the 3 required: signed sales contract, brokerage relationship disclosure, and KWRG real property information agreement. We have control over the brokerage relationship disclosure and KWRG real property information. We have access to these, so there's no reason why these aren't going to be uploaded into the system. It is required. And the close looks very familiar. Copy of the checks, copy of the settlement statement, copy of the warranty deed, and then optional, the MLS sold status printout. Oh, keep going. So for new construction, I'm going to actually go to incoming referral. So when you have a referral that's coming in, and we see it all the time now, you need to have it inside of Command as a buyer's opportunity. If you don't, we can't track it through the system, and it's much harder to find out who the owner of the referral check is when it comes in. We still have referral checks sitting around that we broadcast out saying whose property is this, and nobody seems to be reading their email. I would love to have a policy that says if unclaimed within 5 business days, we get to keep it, because we would love to go to lunch and buy new stuff. So this is just the incoming referral. We're only concerned about under contract, and we only require one thing actually, and that's the referral agreement itself. So you upload the referral agreement, and then you're going to create an offer and commissions using that. And I do have a separate video that goes over how to do a referral inside of Command using this system. Once the check comes in, you're going to have the closed folder, and you're just going to do a copy of the check. And then you're going to click Submit to MC for both under contract and closed. And that is all I have for compliance. It's a lot. Please go through, follow it to the letter, put in all of your required paperwork. Otherwise, you'll be receiving it back, and you will not receive a DA until it has been corrected. If you have any questions, please let me know, or you can even ask Rhoda, and we'd be happy to help. If you have any questions, let me know. Have a great day. See you later. Bye.